Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is a Dell Optiplex 745 ultra small form factor computer, and it currently has the Intel E4400 CPU running at 2 gigahertz. Unfortunately, that microprocessor does not have the Intel Virtualization technology, so I'm looking to upgrade this to the E6600 CPU running at 3.06 gigahertz, and I purchased that off of eBay for under $7. So I have the CPU, I have some Arctic Silver compound here, and thermal paste, thermal compound, and I've got some alcohol swabs. So let's go change out that CPU and see if everything's working, and see if that gives me the option of now using the emulator in the Android Studio environment. So we'll start by removing the cover. So let me get this top off. Okay, so the fan and the heat sink are underneath this cover here. There's two screws. There's a screw here, and there's one in here which you can't get access to until you remove this CD-RW drive here. Get this out of the way. Slide that out of the way. And now you can see the screw is accessible. So undo this. And this one. This just tilts up. Oh, looks like I need to clean this out anyways. Up and out. So you can see there's this sort of like a hook that hooks on the back here, so when you tilt it up, it then comes out. So I need to, actually I thought, okay, so the fan is in the front here. I thought it was attached to the heatsink. So I can take this outside and give it a once over with some compressed or air or dust off. I got a can around here somewhere. So not too much residue on the CPU there. I think I'll take a razor blade and clean that off the heatsink there. Now to remove the CPU, just take this arm here, push it down, and then push it to the right here. So take it out from underneath that little hook there. And then this arm then can come up, releases pressure. So I can't swing this back enough, so I need to remove, just move out of the way, press these two clips in, pick up your hard drive gently, move it out of the way a little bit. That gives you more room to swing this bar. It's got to go past this because this swings up here on this side. You pick this bracket up. See how that works? So pick this up, and then you can just make sure that you don't have any static charge on you. And you just pick up the CPU can see how the orientation is. Got this notch pointing toward the bracket here. So you pick that up. You can see that. So that's how you want to orient the replacement. Also has this arrow, a little gold arrow up in the corner here. Just make note of that. So here's the replacement. Let's take a look. That's how I want to orient it, just like the other one. Now, if I put this in there and then try to put the thermal compound on, I'll probably get it all over the place. So while it is out of the motherboard, put your thermal compound very small. Less is more. So you don't want to put a big pile of that on there because it's just going to ooze out. I think people tend to use an old credit card to get a nice thin film of the thermal compound on the top there, nice even layer. So I'm actually not going to use a razor blade. I thought this was one of those silicon or rubber thermal pads I've seen before. This is just dried out thermal compound. I can just wipe this off. Alright, so I have that all cleaned off, but let me go take it outside for a second and use some of this dust off. Clean out the fins on the heat sink. They're all dirty on this side, so I'll spray it out from this side here. That's where it gets drawn in from the fan. Alright, so I have the heat sink all cleaned up. Put that aside. Here's the new CPU. Now you want to hold it by the edges like this. You don't want to hold it like that. So let's put some thermal compound on this. What I thought of as a good tool are those plastic cards that you always get in the junk mail. Alright, so I've got this plastic card from junk mail. Got some Arctic silver here. Put some on this. Smear this out. See, a little goes a long way. It's a nice even layer. So just drop that in to the socket. Alright, so making sure it's oriented the correct way. Just going to drop this in to the socket with that arrow and the notch. The right direction, like so. Alright, so it's in the socket, it's seated. Bring this bracket down and then push this lever back down and get it underneath that hook, and it's all set. A little piece of debris here, I don't know where this came from. Some tape. Alright, now make sure the heat sink is oriented properly. The The screws are on closest to the fan here. Tilt it up. You want it to go onto these two hinges here, or posts. Make sure the wires are out of the way, and then lower it. And then start screwing it down. Do a little on each side. That's snug. And now you can put the hard drive back. Now you just slide this drive back in. And that should be all set to go. Just need to get the cover back on and get it hooked up. Really quick, you want to make sure that this tab on the back of the hard drive bracket is underneath the chassis right there. See how that slides in? Or the cover is not going to seat properly. So I'll now put the cover on. Alright, I'm back. It was a little nerve-wracking though. It did not like the 3.06 gigahertz processor for some reason. The fan maxed out and nothing was happening, so I put the original processor back in, and then it sort of was a little strange at first, and then I think everything reset. Luckily I had purchased a 2.4 gigahertz 6600, so that's in now and that's working. You can see here I'm in the BIOS. So either that 3.06 gigahertz processor has got a problem, or maybe the power supply is maxed out and that just puts it over the limit. I'm not certain. I'll have to do some searching and see what's going on, but it did not like that. I got back to the original processor, took the original back out, and then tried this 2.4, and everything seems to be working. So at least the 2.4 gigahertz 6600 has the Intel Virtualization technology capability. So that should give me the ability to use the emulator mode or option in the Android Studio. So let's see if that is in fact true. Alright, you can see I'm in the BIOS, and if we go down to performance, right there's visualization. So performance, visualization, and let's see, setup is locked. You must enter the administration password into the unlock setup field to enable changes. Alright, I was confused there for a minute. I had entered an administrative password. It was just admin. So now I can go into performance and go into virtualization, enter, turn it on now, enter. The factory default setting is off, so it is on now. I think it's on. Virtualization on. Exit to escape setup. Exit. Save. Save the new settings. Okay, so you can see here I have the Intel processor identification utility running, and if you see my last video on the CPU technologies under Intel virtualization technology. This was no. It is now yes. So I now have the E6600 processor running at 2.4 gigahertz as opposed to the E4400 that I previously had running at 2 gigahertz. So this should give me the option now when I say run. It should give me the option to have an emulator run for the USB device or running emulator detected. So let's see. Oh, there's something needs to be installed. Don't know what that is. We have detected that your system can run the Android emulator in an accelerated performance mode. Set the maximum amount of RAM available for the Intel Hardware Accelerated Execution Manager. Okay, that's what that stands for. To use for all 86 emulator instances. You can change these settings at any time. Refer to the Intel documentation. Recommended. So I will use the recommended. Next. Alright, so this was not an option that was available. So it looks like I do have this emulator option now available. Finished. So I turned on the Intel Virtualization option in the BIOS. I had figured out that I had set the administrative password to admin with a capital A. I'm definitely further along now. If I select run app, the Android Virtual Device option comes up. But the only problem is that I found out that the emulator does not support wireless or Bluetooth. So if you're incorporating that into your app, you can't emulate that feature. You'll have to see if it works on a real device. But definitely I've come further along now. I have this option. If I click OK here, I get a virtual device up, but it gets stuck. So here's the Android emulator. And here's the virtual Samsung tablet. But it's just a picture. There's nothing functional right now. And I think that's the problem, is that the Bluetooth is not, I read that Bluetooth is not supported with the emulator. So at least I have the new processor in here, although it's not the one originally I wanted to put in. The Dell Optiplex didn't like it for some reason. I don't know. It had me concerned there for a minute. I thought maybe I had blown up the motherboard. But luckily I had a standby one. I had another one that I had purchased. It's a 2.4 gigahertz. And it's the E6600 2.4 gigahertz. So the old one was the E4400 at 2 gigahertz. So I have made some progress, at least in that respect. So if you found this video interesting, please like, subscribe, and or comment, and thanks for watching. This is what it does on the bottom here, by the way, waiting for target device to come online. It just keeps on doing that. I think eventually it times out. But thanks for watching.